We're good to go. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. The mics are back on. We're talking to business owner after business owner, business starter. My name is Jeffrey Davis, and beside me to my right is John Dustin, JED Insurance. Thanks for being my co-host, John.
Happy to be here, Jeff. Excited to be here again and looking forward to this guest, Jimmy Walker.
Thank you. Well, it's sort of a let the cat out of the bag.
There you go.
But here he is across the table, Jim Walker, chairman and co-founder of C-Level Clone.
Correct.
What's a C-Level Clone?
Well, we coined that name because, there's a lot of acronyms out there, like looking for a C-level position and so forth. And when we developed C-Level Clone, we were looking for smaller startup companies, and, we offer executive management capabilities. And that's how we developed the name C-Level Clone. And we taken in a couple of different products into that particular fold. One was with the relating to telemedicine. We were able to control microscopes worldwide from various locations, and then we got involved in the blood business. We were contacted through one of the product engineers that first developed the elimination of shelf life of blood back in the 60s through a naval contract with Linde Corporation. And he saw that I had experience with cryosurgical products as one of my medical distribution companies, and that's how we connected. And what happened is in the 60s, under a naval contract, the government contracted Union Carbide through one of the divisions, Linde Corporation, to develop a method, if possible, to extend shelf life of red cells. Blood only lasts 42 days. So on board ships and in bases and so forth, it became a real problem. So they got the contract, spent 10 years of research and development, and discovered a methodology whereby they eliminated shelf life of red cells with the use of liquid nitrogen. One of the problems was being able to protect the cells, putting a protectant in there to protect the cells, because they bring it down to minus 196. And they used a cryoprotectant called polyvinyl polopidome, which did that. It eliminated the shelf life of red cells. However, polyvinyl polopidome is considered a cancer agent, so it wasn't allowed to be introduced here in the United States. However, but it was allowed to be introduced in other parts of the world where that wasn't a problem. So the second phase of that contract was to develop a cryoprotectant that would be considered approval through the AMA that was, not going to be harmful to patients, and so forth and so on. So when it came to the second phase, the government pulled the funding and they never went forward with it. So they spent 10 years, $20 million, and that was the end of the second phase of the contract. So with that, it remained dormant. However, Linde Corporation was able to go out and introduce the technology to those parts of the world where rare blood was a problem. So they did that. And then it worked fine, but then that kind of phased out with Linde Corporation, and it just lied dormant. Patent expired, so forth. So one of the founders approached me on it and knew I had experience with cryosurgical products and said, "Have you ever heard of this?" I said, "No, but I'm interested." And that's how we got the partnership and developed a relationship. And in the meantime, that was in the 60s, in the meantime they developed a new type of cryoprotectant that was safe and used, and it's actually being used today to extend shelf life of blood, organs, stem cells, so forth and so on. So as we started looking at the technology, and there's 100 million bags of blood drawn globally, annually, looked at the market size, and said, this is huge. So we started doing some research with it, and we started talking to different companies and so forth and so on. So we developed, the research proved that this technology works, but it's just never taken to the steps that we've been able to take it to. So with that, we developed a partnership. We started doing more research, more technical research, and more market studies. And where is the first place you go with this? The first place you go with this is with the American Red Cross. Okay. And so I flew to Washington, met with some of the senior managers there, and talked about the technology. And they said, "Look, we know this technology works. It's after 9/11, we went out and bought all kinds of freezers because we were going to start freezing blood, but we've never been able to implement it. So I said, okay. So we talked, and he said, but we'd like to strategically work with you to implement this technology. So I said, great, let's do it.
So the medical products, as you're describing this from a business perspective, they take a long time. There's like a tail to develop them. So are you using private equity, venture capital? How is your business formulated?
It's all personal.
Unfunded,
It's all personal funded right
so you're bootstrapping it.
now, big time. But we have, we're
You say
talking,
it's we, is it? So there's.
I
a group of
have three other partners that are involved with me right now.
And how did you get into the medical? Were you a doctor?
No, I was controller and CFO for a company that first introduced the CO2 laser into the medical field back in the 70s. A company called Merrimack Laboratories. And so that was almost a little bit bootstrapped. But we took that company back then from 0 to $2 million and sold it for $18 million like 3 years later. So that's how I got involved in the medical field. And from there I developed the distribution company from that,
Mhm.
the laser company, where we would actually do service contracts and sell anything relating to laser surgery. And we developed the distribution. We were selling like smoke evacuation equipment, and we were selling instruments, and we were selling microscopes, and that's how I developed my distribution business.
From a regulation perspective, do those distribution products require like FDA approval?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, yeah. So,
No, so you don't have a medical background.
No.
How did you get into the field in the first place?
primarily through introducing the lasers into the medical field. I mean, that whole,
So you got
Stigma.
known, you met people.
yes, absolutely. And then then when I did the distribution-based business, we actually developed our own product for laser surgery called it. It was a disposable fiber. So we developed that and patented that, distributed.
For some of our listeners, the pros and cons as far as you see in terms of private funding of a business like yours?
It's tough. It's tough.
Because a lot of people would say you should be going out and getting funding for something like this, right?
And when
That would be
doing
the
that-
traditional model.
I draw the analogy. I tell people I was 6'6" and had a full head of hair before I started this business.
Really?
But it's difficult.
Well, it's time, patience, and money.
Exactly, and a lot of it. There's companies where our funding needs right now to take it to all aspects of our technology is like $20 million. That's what I feel is our funding level. And in many cases, that's not enough money to open the doors for some of these investors.
Right.
And then some of the other investors that they look at the 20 million and they say, okay, I want this, I want that, and they want the whole pie. Getting the right investor has been our problem. We've had investors, we've had people fund us or appear to fund us, but as we started maturing with them, they weren't the right investors. So I didn't want to get into an adversary relationship with an investor. They had to understand really the marketplace for this, and that's a tough challenge for a lot of these investors.
So we've been speaking with Jim Walker, chairman and co-founder of C-Level Clone, with John Dustin from JED Insurance. Jim, if somebody wants to find you at C-Level Clone, how would they do that?
They can go to our website, which is C-levelclone and .com, and then on there is my email address and so forth. My email address is jwalker@C-levelclone.
Great. Want to thank you for being on the show. Hope you come back again as we track, your success, especially
Great.
the way you're going down that path. Thank John Dustin, my co-host. My name is Jeffrey Davis, and we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages.